Happy hump day. So I haven't made any videos lately because I have been waiting on parts. But not for the Porsche, not for the Audi, the Passat that's back there. So today we're going to do something that it's been needing to get done for a while. We're going to change the water pump. I don't think the water pump's really bad. I think it's the thermostat. But the thermostat is in the water. Actually, let me show you. So this is a new water pump. Inside the water pump, inside this bottom cover, see what's got the little screws on there? There's your thermostat. If you can see that. And temp sensor is right there. So one of those, and I'm thinking it's a thermostat, one of those is bad. Now, of course, this is a newer style. This is aluminum. The OEM style, this is all plastic. Volkswagen, in their infinite wisdom, shoved the thermostat in the water pump housing and the temp sensor instead of putting it on a line that's easily accessible, easy to change. Good thing is these don't go bad too often. We've replaced this one time when the car had about 50,000 miles. And this is the second time I've had to replace it in the car's life, and has about 150,000 miles on it now. So it's not something that goes bad routinely, just once in a while. The problem is it's all this right here is shoved under your intake manifold. If you're looking at, I'll show you on the car, but if you're looking at the car, you can't even see this. This is underneath the intake manifold. So we're going to take the intake manifold off. We're going to get to access to it. Now, there's two ways to do this. One is to go from underneath, and that's the way most mechanics do it. They go from underneath, especially the angle this sits underneath. See the bolts in the bottom for the thermostat? They sit like that, so you can get to it from underneath. So they did kind of make it accessible. It is tight. The other way to do it, the way I'm going to do it, is you remove the intake manifold and move everything from the top, and you have very easy access to everything. It's longer, it's more tedious, there's a lot more stuff to disconnect and remove, but that's how we're going to do it. And since we're going to get to that access, to get that, we're also going to change the oil cooler, which I know has been leaking oil for a while. And I don't think it's broken internally because my oil is clean every time, and my coolant still looks like coolant. It doesn't look like a milkshake. So I think it's not broken internal, but it's definitely leaking oil down the block of the engine behind the alternator. So we're going to change all that at the same time. I have all the gaskets for everything, have all the parts I think I need, including some hardware. So let me just back the car in here and get it up on the lift. First thing we got to do is drain the coolant, which I hate. It sucks, especially because I have 6 dogs. I don't want them to lick it. So we're going to be very careful. I'm going to drain the coolant into that bucket over there as much as I can. And I hope there's enough space I can actually flush the system too before we install new coolant. I think there will be. We'll see. And then we'll dispose of the coolant the right way. We're not going to pour it down the drain in the street. That's wrong. Don't ever do that. So let me get the car in here, and then I'll show you the engine bay. All right, this is the 2-liter TSI engine. Can you see a water pump under there? Yeah, neither can I. I can tell you, if you follow that black tube down there, it's under there. It's behind the throttle body. So basically, this needs to come off. Airbox, this comes off. Throttle body needs to come off. And take all that off. Here's my oil cooler. You can barely see that. I know that sucker's leaking. Oil down the block.
3 days later.
What's up, everybody? It's Friday, so the weekend's here. I know I haven't made any content lately. I do apologize for that, but we kind of got a mess going on here. So you can see my toolbox is over here instead of over there where it normally is. And the Passat is inside, which is never inside. It's usually outside. There's a reason for that. Before we get to that, let's see. I also have another box here I want to show you. So that other box here, that has some parts for the Porsche. We're going to change, because I'm never satisfied, so I'm going to change the transmission mount. And I bought the transmission mount, the tool to remove it and install it. And what else there about? Oh, there's a throttle body in there, and there's a gasket in there. On the fence on the throttle body because I don't want to do it more than once, so I'm still really contemplating doing the IPD plenum to add to the throttle body. So I'm still thinking about that one. But for sure, we're going to do the transmission mount next. Now, what the hell is going on with this thing? Let me show you. That's what this big box is. That has got a lot of parts in it. This is crazy. I didn't make a video of it because there's plenty of videos on YouTube. So check this out. So if you're wondering why the hell the intake is just sitting here, it's because I had to replace the water pump. And if you're going to replace the water pump because it's wedged in there, you might as well also replace your oil cooler that was also leaking. I think this is leaking, but that flange is built into the subframe, so I can't even get the damn flange out. So we're not going to worry about that. That has a new gasket, that has a new gasket, and a new water pump. The problem is, this is broken. So, got to go buy that pipe, so then we can put it, because I've already put this back together once, and it was still leaking. It was because that is broken. I'm also easy because I removed this freaking thing. Try not to curse. This is not going to go back on. I don't give a damn. Volkswagen made this. It's super lightweight, but it's just a support strut, but it's at an angle that's impossible to get to. It is a pain in the ass. Volkswagen's going to hate me for not doing it. They'll reinstall it if I take it to them, but I'm not going to take it to them because they're going to charge me probably $2,000 to do everything I've done. On this car, I have changed the heater core, the water pump, the oil cooler, all new gaskets, a new fitting. One of the fittings going into the heater core broke because it's plastic and it's brittle and it's 15 years old. So I replaced that as well. Now we're going to place a plastic line, and hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing else breaks, nothing else leaks. So we got a mess. We need to make this car drivable again so that we can put it back outside and put the Audi back in here where it belongs. Like I said, I'm not going to make a video of this because there are plenty of step-by-step videos on YouTube specifically dealing with the water pump and the intake manifold on a Volkswagen Passat. Not really interesting stuff. I'll just show you how it is now, and then maybe I'll show you later when I'm done. Hopefully. Hopefully I'm done today. This is day 3. Should have been done in one day. So I've got a big mess here. Got to clean up. I'm going to head to the auto parts store now and go buy that coolant pipe. I already ordered it. I just got to go pick it up. And also got to find hardware because down in there, of course, what did I drop? A screw and what else? A freaking 10 millimeter nut. Why is it always 10 millimeter? I don't know. It is a 10 millimeter. All right. Let me go to our parts store, pick up the pipe. We'll roll the car forward. Hopefully with the sunlight, we'll be able to find the parts that we dropped. Here we go. Leo and his kids. Gonna go get a coolant pipe. All right, so here's the pipe sitting in front of said auto store. And so this is the broken piece right here. See, that piece right there. That was broken inside the water pump. So this should be a quick, easy install, hopefully. Not a big deal. And we should be back in business. All right, let's get back home.
20 minutes later.
All right, made it back home. Not too bad of a parts car, huh? That's a parts runner. Get parts for the Volkswagen. Irony. Who would have thought you're going to use a Porsche 911 to go get pickup parts for a Volkswagen? That 911 is way more reliable and bulletproof compared to the Volkswagen. Facts. All right, there's the broken one versus the new one. So out with the old and with the new. I haven't turned the car on yet because I don't have intake in, but so far, no leaks. How do I know? Because I've filled this up, it burped a little bit, and it has not moved since. And I've looked under the car many times, no leaks. So everything I disconnected looks to be dry, even inside the car. We will hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll stay that way. One thing I did do on this one, on the bottom, there's a bolt down there, and from factory, it does not have a spacer. But so this has a tiny little gap. I don't like, it still has a little gap, but I didn't like how much of a gap it had. So with my tap and die kit, I took a spacer or washer that was too small for the bolt, and I tapped the center so it had to thread on to the bolt. And I did that so that if you ever take that bolt out, the washer comes out with it. It doesn't fall off and you lose the washer. And that extra 1 millimeter or so, what it is, pulled that pipe in tighter. Now, that's not what seals it. What seals it is the O-ring inside the fitting that's not broken on this one. But just for my own warm and fuzzy, that's what I did to improve the seal. It still has a tiny glow gap like factory, so I guess that's for expansion. But I just feel better that way with having it just 1 mil closer. And everything's torqued 90 inch-pounds. So as long as it doesn't leak, I'm gonna take a lunch break and go get some eat, and then I'll come back and check the level and finish wrapping this up. All done, finally. Only took 3 days. Car's done, no leaks, coolant pipe fixed, water pump fixed, oil cooler fixed, holding coolant, heat on both sides now, not just one side. Kicked my butt, but it's complete. Next time, I'm gonna pay somebody to do it. So I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. You see, the toolbox is back where it's supposed to be. So is the bike. And if I keep going this way, so is the Audi, and so is the Porsche. So everything worked out, no leaks. Drove the Passat, drove it stop and go traffic during rush hour, drove it to the post office, drove around. Everything's great. Heater works, AC works, coolant's not going down. There's no leaks anywhere. I don't see any drips. It all looks like it worked out really good. Just to be sure, just as an added measure of curiosity or safety, whatever the hell you want to call it, right there, that is the bottom lower shield under the Passat. I intentionally left it off so that it is leaking or something else is leaking, I'll know. And I actually cleaned that whole area underneath where the oil pan is and everything so that it stays nice and clean. And so if there's a new leak from whatever fluid, we'll know. So as long as it looks that way for the next few days, then I'll just slap that back on. So thanks for watching this video. The next DIY video will be on the Porsche. We're going to install the transmission mount, the new transmission mount on it. And transmission mount, I think we're just going to do the throttle body gasket first and see how the car drives. The throttle body gasket's not that expensive. So I think maybe we'll install that first. And then if it still does, it's very subtle what it does. It's you let off the throttle when you're driving, and only kind of seems to do it mostly when it's cold. Once it warms up, it seems to stop doing that. But what happens is you let off the throttle a little bit, and you kind of feels like it's kind of like a little hesitation, just a little tiny. It's very, very subtle, very soft. Once everything gets hot and warm and expands, it seems to be perfectly fine. I've checked the vacuum lines. I didn't see a leak anywhere. I didn't use a smoke machine. I probably need to. But, I mean, the car drives fine. It drives great. It only does that, like, first start of the day, early in the morning when you're go drive. And then never does it again. So it's kind of a weird one to check. Oh, I guess what I could do, we'll do that a different time. I'll do that off camera. I'll take out the throttle body of the new throttle body, and I'll check to see does that have play like I showed you in my previous video, that this car has a little tiny bit of play in the throttle body. Just to see if it's normal. I kind of don't want to mess with it though because it's brand new. I know it has warranty, but I don't want to mess it up. So that's why I haven't touched it yet. Next week, the beginning of the week, I have a business trip out of town. So I probably won't be able to do this at the beginning of the week. It'll probably be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday next week. So the DIY video for this will be probably later next week. Because I'm sure if I call tomorrow, say, hey, can I get on the lift at the DIY, do-it-yourself garage that has the lifts? If I go try to do it tomorrow, they probably won't have anything available because I waited too late to call them to put in a reservation. So it'll be next week, probably middle to late of next week when we do that on this car. All right. Thanks, guys. Enjoy your weekend. Catch you later.